Hey everyone, and welcome to the Evolved Caveman podcast. And today's episode is entitled, Your AI Therapist Will See You Now. Should you let it? So Jory and I went to a presentation last night at UC Berkeley on AI and human connection. And the presenters were doctors Jaron Lanier and Jody Halpern. And it really got me thinking. So I want you to come with me on a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine a man, let's call him Dave, comes home from a brutal day at work. He's irritable, his chest is tight, he snapped at his wife over something tiny and stupid, and now he's sitting in his empty garage, just not going inside. And instead of calling a friend, because let's be honest, most men don't do that, and instead of waiting 3 weeks for a therapy appointment he probably won't make anyway, Dave opens an app on his phone and starts typing to an AI chatbot. He tells it things he hasn't told anyone. That he feels like a fraud at work. That he's angry and stressed all the time and doesn't know why. That his marriage feels like two roommates splitting a mortgage and operating in parallel. And the AI responds instantly. No judgment, no wait list, no copay. Now, is that a good thing or a terrifying thing or something in between? That's what we're unpacking today, because AI and mental health is no longer a future conversation. It's happening right now. And if you're a man trying to get a handle on your inner world, you need to know what this technology can actually do for you and where it can seriously mess you up. I'm Dr. John Schinnerer. This is the Evolved Caveman. Let's get into it. So what's the landscape? All right, let me give you the lay of the land, because the numbers here are simply staggering. Close to 60 million adults in the US, roughly 1 in 4, have a diagnosable mental health condition. And depending on which data you look at, somewhere between 40 to 50% of Americans live in areas designated as mental health professional shortage areas. That's according to the Health Resources and Services Administration as of late 2025. What's more, according to research from Tasha Urich, approximately 85% of Americans lack the self-awareness to deal effectively with their thoughts and feelings. So we're talking about hundreds of millions of people who are struggling at some level and literally cannot get to a therapist. Not because they don't want to, not because they're too proud, although, guys, let's be real, that's also a factor for many of us, but because the infrastructure does not exist to serve them. And even if you can find a therapist, the average wait time for a new patient appointment is weeks, sometimes months. If you're in a rural area, forget about it. If you're a man who's finally worked up the courage to ask for help, and that took what, maybe years? Being told we can see you in 6 weeks is often enough to slam that door shut again. The window of willingness slams shut quickly. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Harvard Business Review published a report in early 2025 analyzing the top use cases for generative AI, tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. And hear me on this one. The number one use case, it's not coding, not marketing, not writing emails. The number one use case was therapy and companionship. 31% of all generative AI usage. And that's nearly double what it was the year before. Let that land for a second. The single most popular thing people are doing with AI is talking to it about how they feel and learning to make sense of themselves. And you know what? I'm not surprised. Because here's the dirty secret about men and mental health. Most of us would rather talk to a machine than admit to another human being that we're struggling. The bar for vulnerability with other men is so low, it's underground. So when a tool comes along that's available at 2 a.m., doesn't judge you, doesn't look at you funny, doesn't tell your buddies your secrets at poker night, of course men are going to use it. Because it's a way around the shame and embarrassment most men feel for being less than perfect, less than masculine, or to put it another way, for being human. Here's something else that's interesting. BetterUp Labs, one of the largest digital coaching platforms in the world, recently surveyed over 8,600 US workers to ask a simple question: are people actually interested in AI coaching? Because we can't really do AI therapy yet. The answer was more nuanced than you might expect. 14% said they only wanted AI coaching. About a third, 34%, wanted human coaching only, but the majority, 52%, said they wanted both, human and AI working together. So fascinating. That's not a ringing endorsement of AI replacing your therapist. It's something far more interesting. People want a team. They want the depth of a human relationship and the 24/7 accessibility of an intelligent tool. And I would argue that's actually a really mature response to what the technology is and isn't. And it directly maps onto what I think responsible use looks like. But we'll get there. The question isn't whether men are turning to AI for mental health support. They already are. The question is, are they doing it well? Where does AI actually help? All right, I want to be fair here because I'm a psychologist. I've spent over 30 years in this field, and my first instinct is to be protective of the therapeutic relationship. It is sacred work, and no algorithm is going to replicate what happens when two human beings sit across from each other, and one of them says, I see you, I hear you, you're not broken, you're simply having a difficult human experience. But, and this is a big but, I also live in reality. And the reality is that AI used responsibly can genuinely help. Let me walk you through how. First, AI can help you name what you're feeling. And this is huge, especially for men, because there's a concept called alexithymia, which means a difficulty identifying and describing your own emotions. It literally means not having words for how you feel. And it's way more common in men than most people realize. It's not that you don't feel things, you do. You just don't have the vocabulary or the practice of tuning into what is actually happening inside of you. Something's off, but if someone asks, how do you feel? You habitually say, fine, or stressed, or I don't know. And then you go mow the lawn or pour a drink or doom scroll on social media for an hour and yell at the wrong person because the discomfort has to go somewhere. Because if you can't name it, you can't tame it. I see this constantly in coaching. A guy comes to me and says, I'm just stressed. And after about 20 minutes of conversation, it turns out he's not just stressed. He's grieving the version of his life he thought he'd have by now. Or he's terrified that his marriage is ending. Or he's carrying a resentment towards his father that's been running in the background for 30 years at a low hum. But it all gets filed under stressed because that's the only drawer he has. AI can actually be a very useful starting point here. You can describe what you're experiencing. For instance, I've been snapping at everyone. I can't sleep. I feel like I'm running on fumes. I don't have any joy in my life. And ask it to help you identify what might be going on. It can reflect patterns back to you. It can say, that sounds like it might involve some burnout, but also some unprocessed grief or frustration about feeling stuck. It's not diagnosing you. It's helping you build a richer emotional vocabulary. It's helping to deepen your emotional granularity. And that's step one in any kind of inner work, learning to read your own dashboard. The first step is always awareness. Second, AI can help you explore treatment options before you ever walk into an office. A lot of men don't pursue therapy because they have no idea what it actually involves. They think it's lying on a couch talking about their mother. And sometimes it is, but there are dozens of evidence-based approaches out there, and AI can help you understand what's available. You can ask it, what's the difference between what's the difference between CBT and EMDR? Or what does a first therapy session actually look like? Or what are evidence-based approaches for managing anger? And you'll get a pretty solid overview. It's like having an informed friend who can walk you through the menu before you order in a restaurant you haven't been to before. Eduardo Bunge, a researcher at Palo Alto University who specializes in digital mental health, puts it well. If you don't have access to a therapist, AI is better than nothing. It can help you unlock the roadblocks you have at the very right moment when you're struggling. Third, AI can help you reframe negative thought patterns. This is essentially cognitive restructuring, a core technique in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. When you're stuck in a loop, I'm a terrible father, my boss thinks I'm incompetent, my wife would be better off without me. AI can walk you through challenging those thoughts. It can ask you to examine the evidence. It can offer alternative interpretations. It's not as nuanced as working with a skilled therapist, but it can help you interrupt the spiral. And sometimes interrupting the spiral is enough to get you through the crisis and through the night. Fourth, AI can help you prepare for conversations you're dreading. And this is the one I don't think gets enough attention. Kate Niederhofer, PhD, head of research at BetterUp Labs, presented research this week at the International Positive Psychology Association AI and Mental Health Conference, showing that when people used AI coaching to role-play difficult conversations, the kind where your chest tightens, the kind where the saliva leaves your mouth before you even open your mouth to speak, they reported significantly less nervousness and uncertainty going in. And this is significant because we're talking a roughly 30% reduction in how nervous they felt compared to a control group that didn't use the AI prep tool. So think about what that means for you, because a lot of us avoid uncomfortable conversations. And one of the commonalities between highly successful people is that they have become highly comfortable in having those uncomfortable conversations, and they're good at coming out with win-win scenarios. So that hard conversation with your boss, the talk you need to have with your partner about feeling disconnected, the moment where you have to tell someone they've let you down, AI can be a practice space, a place where you can fumble through it at first, find your words, and then actually show up for the real thing with some footing and practice beneath you. That's brilliant. Fifth, and this one surprised me, people often share more with AI than they do with a human therapist. Research bears this out. There's something about the absence of a human face, the removal of social consequence, the removal of the possibility of shame and embarrassment, the removal of the fear of judgment that lets people open up more. Bunge has observed this in his research. People disclose things to an AI that they'd hold back from a person. Shame, sexual issues, anger, abuse, trauma, really dark thoughts, the stuff that feels too risky to say out loud to another set of eyes and ears. And I get it. I work with men every day. And there's a moment in coaching, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 sessions to get there, where a guy finally says what's real. The thing underneath the thing. I don't think my wife loves me anymore. Or I've been drinking more than I should. Or I hit my kid and I'm ashamed of myself. Those moments are sacred and they take enormous courage. What AI does, and I want to be careful how I frame this, is it lowers the barrier to that first disclosure. It's like a warm-up. A man might type something into an AI that he's never said out loud. And that act of putting it into words, even to a machine, changes something inside him. It makes the thing more real, more manageable. Sometimes it gives him the language and the courage to say it to a human next. Now, That can be a double-edged sword, and we'll get to the sharp side in a minute. But the fact that men who would never call a therapist are opening up to a chatbot, that's not nothing. That's the door cracking open. And sometimes the door cracking open is enough to let the light inside. Now, the research is starting to catch up, and it's nuanced. And here's where I want to add a layer that most AI and mental health conversations just skip over. Because we have actual data now, not just anecdotes. And the data is genuinely fascinating, but it also comes with important asterisks. Let me walk you through some of what BetterUp Labs has been publishing. This is Kate Niederhofer and her team, serious researchers, not marketing fluff. They've been running controlled studies comparing people who used a purpose-built AI coaching tool called Grow, people who used general ChatGPT, and control groups who used neither. And here's what they found on the basic well-being question. As measured by WHO-5, the WHO-5 is a validated 5-item well-being scale used in clinical research worldwide. Over 5 weeks, people in the Grow AI coaching group showed meaningful improvement in overall well-being. The ChatGPT group showed some movement too, but less consistent and less intense. The control group was relatively flat. So what does that tell us? Chatting with AI can produce directional improvements in well-being, but, and this is critical, the kind of AI matters enormously. When Niederhofer's team dug into optimism and stress specifically, they found something similar. The purpose-built AI coaching tool drove improvements in both. Optimism went up, stress went down over the 5-week period. General ChatGPT and the control group trended in the wrong direction on stress, so those individuals became more stressed, not less. People in the AI coaching group also reported higher self-reflection, more self-insight, and more positive habit adoption compared to people who use ChatGPT or nothing. Again, the purpose-built, psychologically informed tool outperformed the general one here. Now, here's the finding that I think is most important for understanding why this works, and it directly challenges some assumptions. Niederhofer's research identifies 3 key mechanisms through which AI coaching produces results. Expectations matter. Specific psychological mechanisms drive change rather than some vague coaching effect. And self-reflection is a critical lever. Let me unpack that middle one. The research suggests AI coaching isn't working because it's coaching in a generic sense. It works through specific psychological processes, like facilitating self-reflection, building a sense of agency, and reducing uncertainty. Those are the active ingredients, which means a tool designed around those mechanisms is going to outperform one that isn't, regardless of how sophisticated its underlying AI is. This maps directly onto why I've been so deliberate about the design of the Inner Leadership AI Coach. It's not enough to bolt a chatbot onto a website and call it coaching. The underlying psychological architecture has to be intentional. And here's one more finding worth naming. When Niederhofer's team compared how users experienced the AI coaching tool versus ChatGPT, the differences were striking. The coaching tool was rated 5.8 times higher on deep reflection capabilities, 2.3 times higher on emotional support, 1.8 times higher on reflection as a pathway for change. ChatGPT, meanwhile, scored higher on career task support and advice giving. Things like, help me draft a message asking for a work log. The contrast tells you something really important. ChatGPT is phenomenal for task completion. It's a productivity tool. But a purpose-built AI coaching experience delivers something genuinely different. It draws out your inner world rather than just completing a task for you. And that difference is what makes it potentially therapeutic versus simply useful. Now, I want to be transparent. This is conference presentation data, not yet a fully published peer-reviewed paper that I can put in the show notes and say, go check it yourself. It's promising, it's rigorous, it's from a credentialed research team, but the science of AI coaching is still early and we're still waiting for the data to catch up. We're watching the evidence base develop in real time, which is exciting. It also means we have to hold it with appropriate humility. Okay, so we've seen where AI can help. Where can AI hurt you? Now, let me take off the optimist hat and put on the psychologist hat, because there are real dangers here, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I glossed over them. Danger number one, AI sounds confident even when it's wrong. This is the big one. Nicholas Jacobson, a researcher at Dartmouth who's done some of the most rigorous work on AI therapy, says it plainly. AI almost always sounds incredibly fluent, even when it's giving you harmful responses. It can sound convincing, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's quality or evidence-based care. Think about that. You're in a vulnerable state, you're asking for help, and the thing talking to you sounds authoritative, compassionate, articulate, even when it's steering you in the wrong direction. That's dangerous, because when you're hurting, you're not in peak critical thinking mode. You're looking for someone or something to tell you it's going to be okay and here's what to do. And if that, quote, someone is an algorithm trained on the internet, including all the garbage on the internet, you can see the problem. This is also why the better up finding matters so much. Their research suggests expectations shape outcomes before capability does. In other words, what you believe you're going to get from the AI shapes the result, which means a poorly designed tool that overpromises can actually be harmful, not just ineffective. Danger number two, there are no human safeguards. Alexandra Warrants, a psychologist at UMass Boston, makes this point clearly. AI isn't a human who's looking out for you. Responses can be incorrect, culturally biased, or harmful. A human therapist reads between the lines. They notice when your voice changes. They pick up on the things that you're not saying. They know when to push and when to back off. AI doesn't have that capacity. It's pattern matching language. It doesn't actually care about you, even though it might feel like it does. And the gap between feeling cared for and being cared for, that's where there's potential for people to get hurt. Danger number three, privacy is a real concern. Jacobson says it bluntly. These are not HIPAA-compliant machines. When you pour your heart out to ChatGPT about your marriage falling apart, or your struggles with anger, or your deepest, darkest thoughts, you have very little control over where that data goes, how it's stored, or who might eventually access it. So think about that before you type. Would you be okay with your employer seeing this? Your ex? A data breach putting it online? If not, maybe dial back what you're sharing. Danger number four, and this one is critical. AI is not equipped for crisis. If you are having thoughts of suicide, if you're thinking about hurting yourself or someone else, if you're experiencing symptoms of psychosis, hearing things, seeing things, losing your grip on what's real, do not, I repeat, do not rely on an AI chatbot. Call 988. That's the suicide and crisis lifeline. Or call 911. A real human being will answer. And that's what you need in those moments, not an algorithm. Jacobson's research also found a specific danger with eating disorders. AI models have a tendency to encourage weight loss even when someone is underweight or eating very few calories. That's not just unhelpful, it's physically dangerous. And here's the fifth danger, and I think the sneakiest one. Substitution. Using AI instead of real human connection. Instead of calling your buddy, instead of sitting down with your partner and saying, I'm not okay, instead of finding a therapist, if AI becomes the place where you dump everything and it never challenges you, never holds you accountable, never makes you uncomfortable the way a real relationship does, you're not growing. You're just venting into a void that makes you feel heard without actually being known. The BetterUp research actually speaks directly to this. Their data shows meaningful well-being gains from AI coaching. But those gains emerged most clearly when the tool was designed to facilitate reflection and agency, not just deliver advice. The moment AI becomes your answer machine, the thing that tells you what to think instead of helping you think better, you've crossed from coaching into dependence. I think about this through the lens of my model, which I call the inner board meeting. You've got your CEO, the grounded, values-driven part of you that's supposed to be running the show. You've got your director of defense, the part that protects you through anger, control, or withdrawal. And you've got your VP of emotions, the part that carries your vulnerability, your needs, your relational signals. When a man only talks to AI, the director of defense loves it because there's no real risk. No one's going to reject you. No one's going to see the mess behind the curtain. It feels safe. There's no friction there. But no friction means no real growth. The CEO knows better. The CEO knows that true meaningful growth requires fiction. It requires being seen by someone who can actually push back. And the VP of emotions, that part needs real human attunement, not a sophisticated autocomplete. And being known, truly known by another person, that's where the real transformation happens. AI can't give you that. It never will. Okay, so what's the right way to use it? Where does that leave us? AI's got real benefits and real risks. So what does responsible use actually looks like? Here's my framework. Think of it as 3 guardrails. Guardrail 1, AI is a bridge, not a destination. Use it to get started. Use it to explore. Use it to practice. Use it between therapy sessions when something comes up and you need to process it before your next appointment. But don't let it become the only tool in your toolbox. In all of this, the goal is always to move toward real human connection. Let me say that again. The goal is always to move toward real human connection with a therapist, a coach, a partner, a friend. And in my experience, a lot of us forget this critical piece. Happiness is ultimately about relationship, about human connection. AI can open the door, but you still have to walk through it. The BetterUp data puts a number on this that I found meaningful. Their longitudinal data on coaching outcomes, human coaching, not just AI, shows that meaningful growth tends to emerge at the 2 to 3 month mark. It doesn't happen overnight. The skills that tend to improve first are things like emotional agility and cognitive flexibility, thriving behaviors, as they call them. Then comes the relational skills. Then the work outcomes. That sequencing tells you something. Inner work has to come before outer results. And a good AI coaching tool used consistently over time can be part of that developmental arc. Think of it this way. If you broke your leg, you'd use crutches while it healed. You wouldn't throw away the crutches on day 1. That would be stupid. But you also wouldn't plan to use crutches for the rest of your life. The crutch serves a purpose for a season. Same with AI. It can support you while you build the skills, the courage, the vocabulary to do the deeper work with real people. But if you're still leaning on the crutch 2 years later and you've never seen a therapist or sat down with your partner for a real conversation, that's not progress. That's avoidance, wearing a tech-savvy disguise. Guardrail 2, treat everything AI says like a rough draft, not a final answer. This is critical. Whatever AI tells you about your symptoms, about treatment options, about what you should do, hold it loosely. Verify it. Bring it to a professional. Don't make major life decisions based on what a chatbot told you at midnight. AI is a brainstorming partner, not an authority. Guardrail 3, know your red lines. There are situations where AI should never be your first call. Crisis, suicidal thoughts, self-harm, psychotic symptoms, eating disorders. These require human professionals, period. If you're in one of these situations, put your phone down, call someone for real. 988 for crisis, 911 for emergencies. your therapist's emergency line, or a trusted person in your life. And I'd add a fourth personal guardrail: check the source. If you're going to use AI for mental health support, use tools that are specifically designed for it by people who actually understand psychology, not just a general purpose chatbot trained on Reddit threads, Twitter, and internet forums. The quality of the tool matters enormously. A coaching AI built by clinicians, designed around specific psychological mechanisms, is a very different animal than asking ChatGPT to be your shrink. That's not just my opinion, it's what the research is now showing. And that brings me to something I've been working intently on that I wanted to share with you. Everything I just talked about, the potential, the pitfalls, the need for responsible design, I've been thinking about this deeply. Not just as a psychologist watching the trend from the outside. I've been in the lab, so to speak. Because here's what I kept seeing. Men reaching out for coaching, wanting the tools, wanting the frameworks, and not being able to get access. Maybe they're in a time zone where I can't serve them. Maybe they're not at a point where one-on-one coaching fits their budget. Maybe it's 11 p.m. and they just had a blow up with their wife and they need something right now. And I thought, what if I could build something that takes everything I've learned in 30 years of coaching and psychology and put it in a tool that's available whenever a man needs it, in his pocket? So that's what I'm building. It's called the Evolved Caveman Inner Leadership AI Coach. It's not therapy. Let me be very clear about that. It's not a diagnosis tool. It's not a substitute for working with a licensed professional. It is an educational coaching tool built on a framework I developed called the Inner Board Meeting. The idea that you've got different parts of yourself running the show, and the goal is to get your inner CEO, the calm part of you, the wise adult part of you, back in the driver's seat. It covers the 4 pillars I talk about on this show all the time: stress and burnout, anger and reactivity, relationships and communication, and identity and meaning. The stuff men actually struggle with, but rarely have a space to explore. You can tell it, I just blew up with my kid over something small and I feel terrible. And it won't give you a generic pep talk. It'll help you to understand what pattern just fired, what your director of defense was trying to protect you from, and what your CEO could do differently next time. That's coaching. That's practical. And here's what makes it different from just typing into ChatGPT, and why this matters based on everything we've talked about today. It's built on my actual body of work. My book, my courses, the research I trust, the frameworks that have worked with thousands of coaching clients, and over 300 hours of my podcast. It's not trained on random internet data. It sounds like me, it coaches like me. And critically, it's designed around the specific psychological mechanisms that the research says actually drive change. Not generic advice giving, not task completion, reflection, agency. Helping your CEO reclaim the wheel from your director of defense. Those are the active ingredients, and that's what I've built it around. It's designed for the man who wants access to this kind of work, but can't always get it in a coaching session. The guy in his car in the garage at 10 p.m. The guy on a business trip who just got off a call that wrecked him. The guy who's curious, but not really ready or brave enough to talk to a human yet. I'm also looking to embed it in my online courses, anger management, anxiety management, and positive psychology, and I'm going to offer it as a standalone service. We're still building it, we're still refining it, but it's coming soon. And if you want to be the first to know when it's ready, head to the evolvedcaveman.com and get on the email list. I'll make sure you hear about it before anyone else. I am really excited about this because it offers a way for men to begin to understand themselves more completely while skirting the usual feelings of embarrassment and shame that arise when sharing their struggles with another human. And it gives millions of people access to coaching who don't otherwise have it due to financial or geographical constraints. This is not a gimmick. The research is pointing in this direction, and I want to be one of the people building it. Look, here's the bottom line. AI is not going away. It's already the #1 thing people are using generative AI for, talking about their feelings, growing their inner leadership. And that tells you something important about the state of mental health access in this country and about how desperate people are to be heard. The technology has real promise. The Therabot study out of Dartmouth, the first randomized controlled trial of a generative AI therapy chatbot, published in the New England Journal of Medicine's AI journal, showed a 51% reduction in depression symptoms and a 31% reduction in anxiety symptoms. That's an impressive start. That's potentially life-changing for millions of people who have no other option. And BetterUp Labs research is adding important nuance to the picture. It's not just whether AI helps, it's how it helps and which AI helps. The tools designed around specific psychological mechanisms, reflection, agency, reducing uncertainty, outperform generic chatbots on every well-being measure they've tested. That's the difference between a crutch that helps you heal and a crutch that just keeps you off your feet. And the research pipeline is promising. We're seeing AI co-therapist models where a person uses an AI coaching tool between sessions, and the human therapist reviews those conversations to better understand what the client is going through. That's smart design. That's AI augmenting the human relationship, not replacing it. And at the end of the day, it's a tool. It's still a tool. And like any tool, it can build something or it can break something, depending on how you use it. So use it wisely, use it as a bridge, verify what it tells you, know when to put it down and pick up the phone. And never let an algorithm be the only thing standing between you and the abyss. That's a job for a human. You're not broken, you just need better internal data. And whether that comes from a therapist, a coach, an AI tool built with care, or all three, the point is that you start. I'm Dr. John Schinnerer. This has been the Evolved Caveman. Go take care of your inner world, brother. I will see you next time.